Now to talk about this, we have with us Mr. Jason Tedjasukmana, the head of corporate communications for Google Indonesia. Hello, Jason, welcome.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Now, first question. I guess my question is: Indonesia is a mobile first country. Now, what does that mean? How is that an advantage for Indonesia?
So, according to our data, as of last year, Indonesia smartphone penetration was about 43% compared to 15% for desktop, which shows you that basically this is a mobile first, if not a mobile only market. And what that means is most people are accessing the internet only through smartphones. And as the prices of smartphones come down and connectivity gets better, you're going to have millions and millions and millions of more Indonesians experiencing the internet for the first time, if they haven't already. So that has profound implications for Indonesia, for the way business is done, for the way people learn, for the way they socialize, for the way they get their entertainment, right? So we're in the beginning of a real mobile revolution in Indonesia.
And you just skipped sort of the desktop era. Now,
Yeah.
is that a bad thing, or does that define our very unique?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's just a different way for companies like Google and other tech companies and anybody wanting to start their own business to think, right? Where before maybe you could create a website that looked great on a desktop, but when you've got on that small screen, you're having to like pinch and zoom and look for stuff and scroll, or the page is loading really slow. I mean, the way that people interact with their phones versus the way they interact with their desktops is totally different, right? So generally, when you're on a phone, if it's longer than 3 seconds, takes longer than 3 seconds to load, you're gone. Forget it, right? With the desktop, you might be hanging out and just sort of doing something else while you're checking out your site. But so that compels businesses to think differently about how they do it, right? And you've got more than 50 million small businesses in Indonesia and less than 2% with an online presence. So think about that, right? Once you get all of these businesses sort of familiar with how to do business online, how to advertise their products, how to find customers, it's going to have profound implications for business as well, because then somebody working in Tangerang will have, could maybe sell their products to Pontianak, who could then, so you know what I mean? So it's like it's a good problem to have, and so Google is trying to help teach best practices and how to create mobile-friendly sites and making sure that our products also work great on mobile.
But to do this, you need developers. You need to know how to code and design your website for mobile and maybe for desktop as well. And you guys want to develop 100,000 or train 100,000 developers by
2024.
And also 1,000 startups for
2024.
Now, why is that? Is that because of the reason that, hey, we're going online, let's get there?
Yeah, so this was our commitment to train up 100,000 developers was announced when President Jokowi came to our campus in Mountain View 6 months ago. So we made the commitment to him there right then and there and said, look, we want to help Indonesia become the largest digital economy in Southeast Asia. And that's one of the stated goals of the government, along with the 1,000 startups that you mentioned. So to get there, we want to do our part. We're familiar with the tech world. We have a lot of skills we can offer, a lot of technology, a lot of platforms. So we're doing our best to help. And we hope to get to the 100,000 mark through education programs, online, offline, combination of online and offline, to help kickstart the digital economy, which is going to play an increasingly larger role in Indonesia's overall economy. That's for sure, right? If we look at e-commerce, online travel, online ride sharing, all of these things are exploding, and we have a new report coming out about that too next week, so stay tuned.
And now, Accelerator, let's talk about that. You guys have quite a few here. Hijab, Coda Shop. Now, what did they do in June, the second batch for June? What did they get to experience in Mountain View and here? It's sort of the mentorship program. Tell us about that.
So the Launchpad Accelerator, this was the second round we did, where we take a group of mid to later stage startups to Mountain Views for 2 weeks, right? So the first batch left in January. There was 8 of them, and then they went there for 2 weeks. They come back. They get 6 months of continued mentorship in Jakarta with other mentors, both inside and outside of Google, people who are experts in UI, user interface, UX, user experience, marketing, business development, all these different areas. And then they just graduated. The first class just graduated last week, and then the second class just went to Mountain View and did their 2 weeks, and now they're back for 6 months, and we hope to launch a third batch in 2017, early 2017. But basically, it's to help them build a community amongst themselves and also with other startups from Brazil, India, Mexico, right? So they all kind of get to know each other's problems, and they can share, what their experiences, what they went through, help each other. And that's a beautiful thing about this program, is that it's about giving back, right? Now we have some of the Class 2 graduates going, or Class 1 coming to help the Class 2, and we hope the Class 2 people mentoring, right? So like, oh yeah, I had that problem, yeah, I can help you with that, or you should try doing it like this, right? So it's a nice community. That community is only going to get bigger.
But this is only for those that are sort of in the late stage, mid stage of the company.
Right.
What about someone with, hey, I'm going to start this company. Should I join Accelerator, or do you have other programs there?
Right. So for the earlier stage startups, we have a program called Launchpad Week, and that is based in Jakarta. We had 15 startups go through it about, I think it was last November. And that is basically teaching them to make a pitch for at the end of their business, to help them develop a business pitch in 3 minutes, right? So they can then make that next step to become a more established player. So it starts obviously with a great idea, right? And then how to develop that idea, right? Because lots of us have ideas, but then there's like the execution and the design. And there's all these elements at play, and who knows? At some point, maybe they will then apply for the accelerator program as well. But there's great talent here. There's tremendous talent, right? And we had hundreds of people applying for it the last time, and only 6 got it, right? And I imagine we're going to have even more, for the next round.
Do we expect established startups like Tokopedia and all the big players to join as well as a mentor, or is it only for those that, hey, you're just starting?
That's a good question. I think those guys are also very active in supporting the community. Whether or not they'll go through our program or become, official mentors, I don't know. But I'm sure we certainly wouldn't mind. Those guys are incredible, performers, and I certainly admire them. Big fans of what they're creating, and we're hoping to see more and more like that are going overseas, right? That's the beautiful thing about the internet, and for any Indonesian company, they can start exporting these ideas, right? Moving into Asia, Southeast Asia, and why not even going Hijab, one of the startups, actually was invited to the London Fashion Week, right? So they showed on the catwalks there in London, right? So you see the power of YouTube, the power of the internet, right, and what they can do with it. So, yeah, it's just the beginning, but there's no reason why we're not going to have world-beating startups coming out of Indonesia soon.
And what are some things that companies like Hijab are saying that, hey, this is the largest Muslim majority population country in the world right now? What are some things that Hijab is saying, hey, I learned this about Indonesia, this is a niche market, or maybe it's not? What would they say?
I think from what I've heard, I think they've learned a lot about watching users use their products. I noticed they just changed their mobile site to use, we have an open source platform called a progressive web app, and the progressive web app is a means of turning your mobile site into something that loads faster, consumes less data, uses less energy, can be used offline, gives you push notifications on the home screen.
This is a bit what's happening in Chrome. Is that
right? Yeah. Well, actually, it works on any browser, right? But there are certain features that are optimized for Chrome, right? So like they just, they picked that up, they learned it, and they changed it pretty quickly, right? So I think they're realizing that there's certain benefits of learning from Google, and of course we're learning from them as well, and how they're using YouTube. Like the way Hijab uses YouTube is different, right? They use it to build brand awareness, right? Like what they're doing, so people get their message and what they do, and then they basically go to their website and then they buy something.
Okay.
Right.
Jason, before we go, I'm curious about what's next for 2017. What's going to happen in the Accelerator next year, and what's the rundown they're going to do? Same plan again?
I think it's going to be a similar structure. I think it's going to be most likely. Again. Yeah, you get your $50,000. Yeah, exactly. Can't forget about that. That's equity free, right? And they can do whatever they want with that money. It's obviously it's a small installment in their future, and it's something that we want to. I think by the time they go through the program, they know, okay, this is really what I need to use it for, whether it's for hiring or for changing the the interface or whatever. But it's going to be probably with India, Brazil, Mexico, and Indonesia. These are 4 really important countries for Indonesia, and we're really excited to see what they do.
All right, Jason, thank you so much.
Hey, thank you. Thanks a lot.